Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if Deku was in high school DxD. So, anyways, before we actually, start off this video, um, my throat is starting to become a little bit better and at least I won't, cough as much in the video, so thankfully, well, there's no going to be annoying like things of that sort, but either way, let's continue on with the episode. So, in the last video we talked about how after the whole, battle between them and also the old Satan faction, or at least a little bit of it, which was the, Chaos Brigade, they would start leaving to go back home and would say goodbye to the others. Except for some of, Sona and also, Ria's peerage, as they would start going home, or at least going to Izuku's home. And when they arrive, they would see, Izuku's, Sona's, and also, Ria's parents basically having a grand old time. And after a bit of talking, and it turns out that his parents know about the supernatural. And apparently are also a part of it. Apparently, his father is known as Akechi, the rusted Ronin, which he would also wield a sword that resembles a regular old katana, but rotten. And it's also going to be a little, let's just say, sneak peek, let's just say that. Oh god, this is super obvious. But either way, let's continue on, as we also go to, his mother. And apparently, the sort of how do I say this? Yeah, basically, she's the daughter of the Scottish, goddess, or not really goddess, but more like, Scottish, teacher, or the teacher of the Child of Light, aka Kukulane, otherwise known as the Skahawk, aka the wielder of Guy Bolga, which, let's just say, was a bit of a surprise. A bit of a surprise for him. And after, a bit of talking, and a bit of having a bit of fun, and his parents teasing him about his little, marriage between him and also, Sona, and also sausages maybe, not sausages, I meant, Zioticus maybe going to let, Rias have his fun with him, have her fun with him, but either way, they would also, tell Izuku, mostly his parents, that they're gonna be giving him a gift. 2 gifts, in fact, but apparently the first gift was still being, still being readied, but it's still not going to be finished for about, a few more, months. And, by the way, he was also told that he's going to be, going to have a all-expenses paid trip to a little island, or more specifically, a little, vacation spot, just for him and some other people that he's allowed to basically bring. And after being told of this, he was pretty excited, including others, as everybody else is planning to maybe, mostly the girls, and maybe Saji. Saji is maybe planning to go there, mostly because he wants to have some relaxing time. I mean, being a student council member is tiring for him, but either way, after, being told of this, they would start leaving. Mostly her, the parents of, Sona and also Riaz. But also some of the members of, actually not really some, but more like all of the members of, Sona Spirit would also start leaving to go back home. And after that, everybody was told that they're allowed to basically stay in, Izuku's, or, in the house for, for tonight. As in, it's basically like a large-ass sleepover. And so, after that, everybody would basically, get ready to get some sleep. But, let's just say, Izuku was told that, Sona's gonna be, sleeping with him. Oh boy, let's just say it's gonna be an interesting night for them. And so, everybody would instantly fall asleep. But, I also forgotten to add this part. Yeah, I was meant to add, a little tidbit in the end of this, the end of, last episode, which was, where Catherine is. So, let us, continue on, or at least, continue on to this part, as in, where Catherine was left off. So, yeah, wait for a second, anyways, continue on. So, let us talk about what happens next. So, we're just gonna be moving to a different perspective, which was the original perspective of, well, of Katharina, or otherwise known as Katharina Leviathan. Well, I originally planned that to be like the end, or at least planned that part to be a part of the end of like last episode for this series. But, well, at the time I was too tired and also still pretty much hurting my throat. But either way, let's continue on. As we see Catherine Leviathan basically in the void, as she would say this. Where am I? She would say. Why can't I use my magic? And as she would start hearing something in the background. As she would look over and would see something horrifying. That something was Dracul. As Dracul would just be on his throne on top of like the dragon. As he would say this. So, you're my host's prisoner. How interesting. You so-called Mao, or at least a proclaimed Mao, he would say. As she would say this. Who the hell are you? She would say. As he would say this. Oh, you may call me Dracul. You can call me the Hydra Emperor. Now, may I ask you this? Would you rather die, or would you rather serve my host, he would say. As she would say this. Why would I serve under a lowly, low-rank not zombie, I meant low-rank, low-rank devil, he would say. She would say. As after saying this, he would say this. You really are a lowly little thing, he would say. You're nothing more than a prisoner here. And besides, a maiden like you should not be, well, insulting me or my host, he would say. As she would say this. Then, what should I do then? Just start bowing to him? Don't make me laugh, she would say. As he would say this. Guess I'll just have to make you learn, he would say. As he would snap his fingers. After doing so, a spear would start appearing in his hand. Specifically, the spear that he, originally had, aka, well, Izuku spear, or the sacred gear that he's basically sealed into. As you would say this. Now, Fortis Axe, he would say, as the dragon would open his eyes, or the Hydra, as all of its eyes would basically open up as you would start looking at the girl. As she would say this. A pathetic little dragon can't beat me, she would say, as after saying that she would charge towards it. But in a single strike, the dragon would slam its large claw towards her, causing her to fall. As she would say this, ow, she would say, as she would start feeling immense pain from that. As he would say this, now, cosmically bay, he would say. As after saying that, several spears would start impaling her, wings, as she would start screaming out in pain. As she would say this, ow, please stop, she would say, as she would try to use the powers of Ophis, but it would be nullified. As she would say this, what? Why can't I use my... What the hell is this? As he would say this, well, in this world, I am everything and nothing. And right now, you are nothing. So, you have two choices right now. Either serve my host, or would I let you become a prisoner here? Become a worthless piece of shit of a whore, he would say. As she would say this, you bastard, she would say. As he would say this, really, you call me a bastard when all of the tragedies that you've caused. How pathetic. I guess you can say the saying, what was that called? The saying, don't call the kettle black, especially if it's a pot, he would say. As after saying that, he would start looking at her, as he would say this. Mind telling me why does a lowly, pathetic descendant of a so-called Leviathan dares to try and hurt me, or even my host, he would say, as she would say this. He's a low-level devil, and those that are low-level than me are deserving of... But before she would get her arm sliced off. As she would scream out in pain, as she would say, "Ah, my arm!" She would say, as he would say this, "Like I said, why do you dare try and even do anything to me, or even my host? Now, I want you to say this. Would you rather die, or would you rather serve under my host? You have two choices. Now, I'll let you live for now, but in a few hours, you have a decision to make," you would say. As after saying that, his spear would start, rising up. Or more specifically, he would raise his spear up, as a large cage made out of, pole arms and spears would start, caging her. As several chains would come out of the ground as well, blocking, not really blocking, but more like, causing some of her body parts, like some of her limbs to basically be, chained towards the wall. Or should I say bars. As she would be, strewn about like, actually, I'm not gonna say it, because that's gonna be dark. A certain website. And a certain tag by the name of, well, Bond Age. well, well, take a guess what it is, but either way, as Dracul would start leaving, as he would disappear, including Fortisax, which is apparently the name of the dragon, would start disappearing, as she would be chained up, as she would say this. "Damn, where the hell am I?" she would say. As after that, we would go back to Izuku. As we currently see Izuku waking up, as he would say this. He would start rising up from his bed, as he would start, rubbing his eyes, getting some of the. Actually, I don't really know what to actually call it. In the Philippines, we just call it muta. I don't really know what to call it. I keep hearing people calling it like, or at least some of the states, like, the Sandman, right? And how he basically, like, in Legends, basically, like, put it in, or basically, like, put the sand to basically make people sleep. I sometimes call it sand for some odd reason. Or maybe people, maybe in the States, basically call it something else, but I'm just gonna be calling it muta for this, for this reason. As after doing so, Izuku would say this. He would start, looking around, as he would start feeling something from one of his hands. As he would feel something, well, fleshy. Not like a pillow. And it's also quite squishy. As he would start to pale a little bit. As he would start looking toward that direction and would see Sona. Not only that, she seems to be almost half naked. As he, like all of his colors, like every single part of his body would start, becoming a little bit pale. As his other hand would try to, get off, but he would also feel something as well. Something even more squishier and much more bouncier. And that something, he would start looking towards the side and would see Riaz, fully naked. Now, basically, like, basically, she is basically, like, all naked, and basically, his hand is on her. Oh boy. As he would start, paling even more. As he would slowly try to get out of there, as before he can actually, like, get his uniform ready, he would hear, morning, said, a pretty seductive Riaz. As we would also hear, morning, as we would also hear a pretty tired, sorry about that, a pretty tired, Sona. As Izuku would slowly look back at them, as he would notice them basically having cute ass expressions. Not really cute, but more like, For, Sona, she looks cute, but for Rias, it's more seductive. As then they realized, Sona would still, slowly look towards Rias, as Rias would start looking towards Sona. And so, let's just say the morning was not really a peaceful one. Time skip. As we currently see Izuku basically, well, having several bruises, as we would also see a pretty much fuming Sona, and also, a fuming, Rias. As they're currently, both Sona and Ria seem to be, staring down at each other, basically angry, while Izuku, he basically has several, bruises. As everybody else would also wake up, now change into their uniforms, mostly for school, as one of them would say this, specifically, Issei. Hey, Izuku, what happened, she would say. As he would say this, let's just say a rude awakening, he would say, as one of them would say this, specifically, Sona. Yeah, and not only that, somebody decided to, walk into our room and decided to, try and sleep in my soon-to-be husband's bed, she would say. As she would say this, specifically, Rias. Well, technically, he's not your husband. Or at least, you're going to be... It's more like that you're going to be his future wife. But, I can probably, try and find a way to basically get into his, she would say. As after saying that, Sona would start glaring at her. As for, Ria, she would start glaring at her as well. As both of them would start, having sparks around them. Or at least sparks basically, in between their eyes. As the others would also start feeling the same, wanting to basically fight for Izuku's love. As Izuku would start sighing to himself, saying, "What the fuck is going on?" he would say. As after that, one of them would say this, specifically his mother. So, breakfast is ready, she would say. As, for, Cow Winner, she would also make breakfast for Izuku, personally. As after bringing it in, he would see a large, rice omelet with some ketchup that basically writes down saying, "Good morning," she would say, or at least, that's what it said. As it would also have a lovely heart and also a cute little, I guess you could say a chibi version of, of Calendar basically on the side. As he would say this. Huh, cute, he would say. As Calendar, after hearing that, she would start getting a smug smile. While for, while both Millet and Rainer would basically have thumbs up for her. As after doing so, as Izuku would start eating breakfast, the other girls would start looking towards, Cow Winner, as they would also glare. As Cow Winner would just flip them off, as they would start, getting ready to maybe, fight. As before they can, one of them would say this, specifically Izuku's dad. Whoa, girls. I mean, my son is pretty much a catch, but please, try not to, kill each other for it, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Dad, what do you mean by that, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Oh, he would say, as he would just, laugh a little. As his mother would say this. It seems so, she would say. Now, run along, kids, you should probably get ready. As after saying that, they would start continuing eating. As after finishing eating, they would start getting ready for their, for the classes. As after doing so, they would start leaving to go to school. So, after arriving at school, Izuku would start leaving to go back to his normal classes, as he would start, doing his usual classes as usual. As he would also, see Moriyama and Katase basically, instead of, sitting in their normal seats, instead, they're now going to be sitting right next to Izuku, while some others, like for example Kaneko would decide to basically, sit, near him, or at least, somewhat near him, so she can watch over him. Apparently, let's go to a little flashback. Wait for a second. Apparently, Kaneko has been, told by, Rias, or at least, sort of, that she should basically, watch over Izuku, to make sure that her rivals would not try and get her. And because of that, and also being told of this, she would decide to do so. Mostly because she doesn't really care all that much. But because she is the servant of like Rias, she would decide to do so. And the other girls also a part of like, well, of, Rias' peerage would not know this. But they would start having suspicions about this and would try to do anything in their power to basically get Izuku. Especially Kiba for some odd reason. And for Sona, she's trying to protect Izuku from basically getting, let's just say let's just say the new seed over there. Oh, god damn it. So, anyway, continue on. As we also hear about, Izuku. As, we currently see Izuku doing his normal classes, basically, doing some tests, and also hearing about a quiz, apparently. As this pop quiz was just basically just like, their normal ass quizzes, but it was sort of hard, but not really hard for Izuku because he's basically a book nerd. As, after a while doing so, he would also look towards a direction. As he would notice, well, a panicking Ravel. As Ravel is basically trying and get some answers, but she's currently has, well, a sort of like blank thing, or, blank like page, or, blank paper right now. As Izuku would say this. Why do I feel like I need to help her out, he would say. As after saying so, he would decide to do so. As after doing so, he would decide to use one of his, one of these sort of like sacred gear DNA that he got. Mostly a telepathic sacred gear. As after doing so, he would start, planting his mind, or, saying it, in Ravel's mind, this. Hey Ravel, he would say. As Ravel would be surprised, and she would say this. Wait, what? She would just be confused, as Izuku would say this, in her mind. Well, it's pretty simple, he would say. I'm basically speaking your mind. And trust me, I'm not doing anything weird. Either way, I'm gonna be helping you out with, with the test, he would say. As she would say this. Wait, really? Thank you, she would say. As he would say this. Yeah, no problem. Either way, it seems that you have a lot of questions right there, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, can you please help me with them? And so, after doing so, after the class, you would start leaving to go, do their other stuff. And Ravel would start, approaching Izuku, specifically after class. As, well, he was basically moving out with, with both Kitase and Murayama, because their next class was apparently, well, gym class, but before he can actually leave, he would see, wait for a second, he would see, his classmate, more specifically, Ravel, as she would say this. Hey, Izuku, thank you for helping me, she would say, as he would say this. Oh, no problem, he would say. As we would see a somewhat, annoyed Kitase, and also a somewhat annoyed, Murayama, as Kitase would say this. Hey, Miss Ravel, she would say, as she would say this. Yeah, she would say, as she would say this. Well, we've been hearing about you basically meeting up with Izuku one time. And apparently, we also heard that you're also sort of friends with him. So mind telling us why do you have a relationship with him, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, we're sort of friends, she would say. As she would say this. Yeah, likely story, she would say. Said, a somewhat angry Moriyama. As she would say this. What are you even, doing anyway? I mean, have you heard that apparently, that Izuku is currently, going to be married to, Sona? She would say, as one of them would say this. Yeah, we know, said, a somewhat annoyed Moriyama, as she would say this. Specifically Kitase. Yeah, but still, we're just going to be friends. Only friends, nothing else, nothing more. And besides, we just want to protect them from people like you, she would say, as she would say this. What is that supposed to mean? She would say, as she would say this. Oh, I don't know, maybe because you look like a spoiled princess, she would say, as she would say this. How dare you, she would say, as they would start fighting each other. Mostly, how do I say this? Well, they're basically yelling at each other, as Izuku would say this. Guys, we're gonna be late for class, he would say. as one of them would say this, specifically Moriyama. Oh, right, sorry about that, said, a somewhat, surprised, Moriyama, as Katase would say this. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, Izuku, she would say, as after saying that, they would start leaving. Leaving, well, our lovely little girl over there, aka Ravel, as after doing so, Ravel would say this to herself. I need to find a way to basically, get into Izuku's pants at least, she would say. Wait. Maybe I can ask, Sona a little bit. I mean, she did help me, get into, into this academy, but maybe, she would say, as after saying that, she would start leaving. So, as we go back to Izuku and Moriyama and Katase, so, they're currently in gym class as they're basically hearing about, they're mostly doing some track and field stuff, as Izuku is basically, doing some laps in the, what is that called again? It's basically I guess you could say the actual track part. I meant track, not trap. The track part of it. As Izuku is basically running at full speed, but not enough to make it look like he's basically supersonic speed, because he's that fast. And so he would start running Usain freaking Bolt, as everybody was a bit impressed by his speed. As, we also see, Moriyama and Katase, basically they're doing their own thing, basically cheering Izuku on, while the others were also cheering on some of their own, classmates that were competing with him. But, wait for a second, but after a while, they would basically end off the, class, as Izuku is basically discussing some stuff with, some classmates, which were the ones that basically, were racing with him, as one of them would say this. Hey guys, are you excited for summer? Said one of them, as one of them would say this. Hell yeah! I'm pretty excited to basically go on, a special cruise with my family, said one of them, as one of them would say this. Oh really? Huh. So what is this cruise apparently, she would say, as he would say this. Well, apparently I'm gonna go to Hawaii. I can't wait to see some beautiful dark-skinned chocolate girls, he would say, as one of them would say this. Oh, that's cool, he would say, as one of them would say this. Hey Zuku, said one of them, as he would say this. Yeah, he would say, as he would say this. Well, we heard that you're apparently gonna be married to, or at least soon to be marrying, Sona, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, yeah, that, he would say, as one of them would say this. So, what is she like when she's not in school, he would say, as he would say this. Well, surprisingly, she's actually a nice girl. But it's nothing of that sort. It doesn't mean that I don't, consider her as anything bad or anything, but, he would say, as one of them would say this. Huh. So, are you perhaps well, the type of guy that would like girls like her, he would say, as he would say this. Well, yeah, I mean, even though she's sometimes a bit stubborn and sometimes a bit, prude at times, but she can be quite nice. He would say, as one of them would say this. Oh really, said one of them, as one of them would say this. Hey, as he would start looking over and would see a guy nearby, as he would say this. So, are you perhaps getting all buddy-buddy? Doing all the things, right? He would say, as he would say this. What is that supposed to mean, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, I don't know, maybe doing the devil's tango, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I'm not, we're not really into that type of thing at all. I mean, we're still pretty much young, he would say, as he would say this. Fine then, he would say, as one of them would say this. Really? Huh. I thought she would probably be one of those girls that when she's in the sheets, she would probably be an absolute devil, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, I guess so, but still, he would say. Please try not to disrespect my, soon-to-be wife, he would say, as one of them would say this. Yeesh, you don't really need to be that, harsh, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I'm not being harsh, I'm just trying to, not let my wife be disrespected like that, he would say, as one of them would say this. Huh, you really are loyal, said one of them, as he would say this. Yeah, As after saying that, he would start grabbing his bags as he would start leaving. As before he can leave, one of them would say this. Hey, Zuku, said one of them. As he would say this. Yeah, he says, as he would say this. So, where are you planning to go to, where are you planning to go to when it's finally summer, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, apparently I'm gonna go to a private island with my parents. Apparently they're gonna be having a vacation there. I can't wait to go there, but, let's just say, also Sono's parents are also going there, he would say. As one of them would say this. Oh, cool. So that means it's basically like a honeymoon, said one of them. As he would say this. Yeah, I guess you can say that, but either way, I'm going, he would say. As he would say this. Well, good luck with your little honeymoon, said one of them. As he would say this. Yeah, he would say. As after saying that, he would start leaving. So, after that, Izuku would start leaving as he would notice, Murayama and Katase. As Katase would say this. So, Izuku, where are you planning to go for, for the summer event, she would say. As he would say this. Well, I'm going to, a special island, nearby. Apparently my parents and also, Sona's parents have decided to basically rent out an island for themselves. And even said that we're going to be going there. They also said that we're allowed to basically bring in some friends of ours. But I'm not really sure who to bring. I mean, I do have a lot of friends. And, apparently, Riaz is also coming as well, he would say. As one of them would say this. Wait, Riaz? She would say. As he would say this. Yeah. Let's just say, Sona's mine, and also, Riaz's parents are now friends, he would say. As one of them would say this. Ah, I see, said one of them. Specifically, Murayama. As one of them would say this. Specifically, Katase. So, can we go there, she would say. As he would say this. Maybe, if your parents are allowed to do so, he would say. As one of them would say this. Oh, sure then, she would say. As after saying that, they would say goodbye to Izuku, as Izuku would start preparing. After all, in a few weeks, it's gonna be, summer. And so, after arriving back home, he would start, getting ready to go to sleep. So, let's go to a short time skip. And we also go to another perspective. As we go back to Catherine, as Catherine would just be there, still pretty much stuck in that dimension. Thanks to the dimension basically being, an endless freaking void, and it's basically timeless to the point that she doesn't really, age at all, or even starve, as she would start feeling immense pain from all of the, puncture wounds that she got inflicted by these, spears that, Dracul does every time when he gets bored, or becomes a little bit angry about, something, and even somewhat, attacks her for basically trying to insult, Izuku. As, after a while, she would just be broken. Her eyes are basically just like, imagine one of those eyes. As she would also have, let's just say her pride as, the so-called, descendant of the great Leviathan, or, the first Leviathan, let's just say she's now completely just a god. As she would say this. I don't want to. No, I don't want to, she would say. As one of them specifically, a person from the shadows, aka, Dracul would say this. So, did you make your choice, she would say. As she would say this. Fine, she would say. As she would start looking at, at Dracul, as she would say this. I'll serve your host, she would say. As he would say this. Good. Now, we'll probably let you out in a few weeks. But for now, you should stay here, he would say. As he would decide to give her something. As she would basically see something coming out of his hand. And this something was a cup of tea. As he would say this. Here. We'll help you with your throat, he would say. As after saying that, she would be poured a cup of tea, and she would, start drinking it from his hands. After doing so, she would say this. Sort of feel better, she would say. As still have a raspy voice, as he would say this. Now then, you should probably get some sleep. After all, when he finally releases you, you'll probably still be fatigued, he would say. As after saying that, he will leave her, aka Catherine. So, we go back to Izuku once again. So, it's been about, a few weeks now, as now it's currently, about to be summer tomorrow, as Izuku is currently, preparing, for his little vacation with the others, as Izuku would say this. So, you ready, guys, he would say, as he would start looking at the others, specifically, well, Sona, Rias, and also, surprisingly, Ravel and Murayama and Kitase, as one of them would say this, specifically, Ravel, wait, how do you, why are we bringing them, she would say, specifically, Ravel, as one of them would say this, specifically, Sona, as she would say this, well, apparently, as we go to a little flashback, as we currently see, some of the Mao, not really Mao, but more like, one of the Mao specifically, Zerzex, and also, what's his name? Zerzex, Lucifer, basically right next to, Theodicus Gremory. While for, Mr. as in, Lord Phoenix was also there as well, as he would say this. So, I want you to at least allow my daughter to basically come with your daughter, more specifically Ria's, and also her friends to that little private island of theirs for their vacation, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Really? Why exactly, he would say. As he would say this. No reason exactly, but we just want them to at least have a bit of a good relations. After all, after what my idiot of a son decided to do, well, I decided for you, or at least her, to at least, reconcile with them. I also want to at least, let her get to know Izuku, he would say. As he would say this in his mind. And also at least get an heir from him, he would say to himself. And maybe even, become his consort. Oh god. As after, saying that to himself, Theodicus would say this. Sure then. But you also need to get the permission of, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, you mean the boy's parents? Well, I did heard about how his parents are apparently both the famous Akechi of the, of the Midoriya clan, and also the famous, daughter, or at least the daughter of Skahak. I actually can't believe it. Like, seriously. After hearing that he's apparently also the son of Skahak, the god killer herself, well, let's just say I've been pretty shocked ever since, he would say. As, one of them would say this. Specifically, Theodicus. Yeah, can't believe it myself, he would say. And let's just say, both Lady and also, Lord, what is his name? Lord and also Lady, Citri, have been, let's just say, having a lot, and I mean a lot of fun after hearing about, his lineage, he would say. As he would say that, specifically, Phoenix. Yes, I do agree with that. Now, I should be leaving, and thank you for forgiving me and my son, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, even though he did horrible things, at least he didn't get to do anything horrible with my daughter, he would say. As he would say this, specifically, Sirskis, or, Sirsex. Yeah, thankfully, he would say. As after saying so, we go back to Izuku. As Izuku would say this. Either way, let's just get ready to go, he would say. As after saying that, he would start getting ready to leave. As his parents would basically, be outside. As he would say this, specifically his mother. So, you ready, guys, he would say? Specifically his mother, as his father would say this. Yeah. And if you're asking, well, we have enough room in the car, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Yeah, but also, like, how is it going to work? I mean, it's a pretty long car, but definitely not long enough for us to basically fit in there. As he would say this. Oh, you'll find out soon, he would say. As after saying that, they would basically put their luggage in the, trunk. As after doing so, they would start walking into the car. As after arriving at, or at least after entering the, limousine type car, they would notice the car to be, or at least the limousine type car, would be bigger than the outside. In the inside, it was much bigger and much more spacious, to the point that it almost resembles a freaking house. As Izuku would say this. Wait, excuse me, what? He would say, as one of them would say this. See, honey? I told you that it's pretty large, she would say, she would say, specifically his mother, as Izuku would say this. Wait, how did you, as she would say this. Well, a bit of Gaelic runes and a bit of like Akechi's help, she would say. Or should I say Asashi, she would say. As he would say this. Specifically his father. Yes, it's quite the easy, thing to do. Especially with the help of my, my special type of senjutsu, he would say. As after hearing that, one of them would say this, specifically Kaneko. Wait, senjutsu? But how? I thought, as he would say this. Yes, I do, sometimes hear that you yokai are the only ones that are able to use senjutsu, or even use chakra at all. But, in my case, I'm technically able to use it thanks to the help of my lineage, he would say. As one of them would say this. Wait, how does that actually work? Said, it pretty much, confused Riaz. As he would say this. Well, he would say, as after, taking off, basically parting his hair a little bit to the side, he would notice two large horns. As he would say this. Well, I'm an Oni, he would say. As after saying that, everybody would just be shocked, including Izuku, as he would say this. Wait, excuse me, are you saying that I'm also half orc? Not orc, I'm also half Oni, he would say, as he would say this. Yep, and not only that, because of your lineage, you're basically, well, let's just say quite interesting, he would say, as Izuku would say this. Well, no freaking shit, he would say, as, his mother would say this. Language, she would say, as she would say this. Oh, right, he would say, as one of them would say this. Specifically, Cowaner. Tay, can I have a bit of this, she would say, as she would hold up, a bottle of champagne. As his father would say this. Oh, go right ahead. Besides, it can instantly, replenish it, he would say. As she would say this. Oh, cool, she would say. As Millet and also, well, Rainer would basically start drinking the alcohol. As for the others, they would decide to, go into their seats as they would start sitting down. As, for, wait for a sec. And as for, Sona and also Rias, they would decide to sit right next to Izuku. As after doing so, both of them would start, holding on to his, forearm. Basically like, putting their, putting Izuku's, arms in between their, well, breasts. Let's just say Izuku was pretty uncomfortable. As a few more girls would notice this, a lot of girls would also notice this. Mostly, the girls that I mentioned before, like for example, Kiba, Zenobia, Irina, blah blah blah, and also Momo, and not that Momo from My Hero Academia. I mean Momo, from, High School DxD. And almost all of the girls that basically, like, that I alluded to, basically, liking Izuku, like, for example, Katase, Murayama, Ravel, things of that sort, they would start rushing towards him, and they would start, sitting right next to him. And let's just say it was pretty much uncomfortable at day one now, as, both his parents would basically start laughing, as, one of them would say this, specifically, towards, towards, Asashi, aka Akechi, as, his mother would say this. I can't wait to get some grandkids, she would say. As, one of them would say this. Specifically, well, what's his freaking name? As Akechi would say this, or, Asashi. It's definitely gonna be annoying to deal with, many grandkids, he would say. She would say this. Yeah, but at least it's gonna be fun, she would say. As after saying that, they would start leaving to go to the private island. Where, after a bit of, driving, they would decide to move towards a little alleyway where they would teleport, transferring towards a different area. So, yeah. So, we're gonna be leaving this episode right off here. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!